Next up, we have GPU mining pros and cons by Solminer.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Let me get a feel for the audience. How many of you have thrown away old mining hardware because it became worthless? All right, there's a few of you guys. How many of you have turned your mining hardware off during the past year because of the market fluctuations? All right, there's a couple. How many of you have no idea what I'm talking about? Nobody, okay, that's great. My name is Jeremy Segal, I'm CEO of Solminer, and my team and I have built multiple mining rigs out of 10-foot shipping containers with patent-pending technologies. We struggled for, this clicker. We struggled to find ways to invest in cryptocurrency mining that we could trust. There's two common ways that people invest in cryptocurrency mining. The first is to purchase hardware, and the second is to invest in projects. When it comes to hardware, it's oftentimes ASIC, which tends to have short lifespans or minimal liquidation values. And when it comes to projects, it's hard to determine what's a scam and who has the actual capacity to deliver and what they promise, or if the investment is even a good investment overall. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the project Envion, who raised $100 million in capital, and that turned into a disaster for a lot of investors. We didn't want to be controlled by the market or other people. We wanted to be in it for the long haul reliably. After analyzing all our options, we determined that GPU mining was a good fit for what we were looking for. What we did is we built a 10-foot shipping container that's modular and scalable, easy to transport, and really efficient. Each container, to answer your question, is comprised of 40 computers, each with 8 GPUs apiece, so that's 320 GPUs in the container. And that's about 10,000 megahash on the Ethereum blockchain. We've never had to turn the container off, even when the market crashed last year, even during the hottest and most humid days of Florida. We have this thing stored in Tampa. We spent countless hours investigating potential investment opportunities, different mining farm setups, and different types of hardwares to get to this point. I'm going to give you the shortcut by giving you the 5 major pros and cons to GPU mining. The first pro is that GPUs are very flexible technology. You can mine over 60 different tokens with GPUs, whereas with ASIC, you can only mine particular tokens because it's application specific. Say you compare the latest ASIC technology to the latest GPU technology, ASIC will produce more revenue for the initial capital you put in versus GPUs. Remember, revenue is money you make before expenses such as electricity. And this is the case because ASIC hardware is designed specifically to execute one task, and that task is cryptocurrency mining, whereas GPUs are more flexible technology and it has use cases for many other purposes. So that's a pro for ASIC miners. But ASIC miners tend to require more electricity to run. And because of that, you can only afford to run it if the market's doing well. But if the market's not doing well, you tend to have to shut ASIC miners off quite a bit sooner than GPU miners, because GPUs tend to use less electricity in comparison. ASIC hardware is essentially worthless once it's no longer profitable. Say new innovations come along, mining difficulty increases, major forks occur, or even the market fluctuates below profitability. ASIC was designed for one purpose, and that's it. So once it's out of its profitability, it has a very low liquidation value, whereas GPUs, if they're not profitable anymore, there's still a market to sell the hardware. So these are all things that we considered when we built our Solminer cubes. Sorry. So I've got a quick example here. MSRP for the S9 ASIC miner about a year ago was $1,400. And the use price back in March when the market took a dip was about $250. I mean, now it's come up a bit, so it's got higher value. But this is just a use case example that when the market comes down, the liquidation value is pretty low. So you have an 18% liquidation value, whereas a GPU had about a 70% recouping cost. So that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration when they're thinking about their profitability analysis when they're comparing ASIC and GPU mining. So these are all things that we considered when we built our Solminer cubes. We looked at building the most reliable and efficient mining setup that will generate profit for years. On top of that, it's modular and scalable, so it can be relocated anywhere you want, even if you want to keep chasing cheap electricities or move it around. We've got it outside here, so it's proof that it's not that difficult to move. We drove it down last night from Tampa, and it's a pretty smooth move. You can also use multiple containers and then build large-scale mining farms, and that's something that we can help with. We hated not being able to trust the equipment or the projects that we had to invest in. What we've built, we've ran in 98-degree weather with 95% humidity, and it doesn't shut down. So we've never had to shut it down for the market, we've never had to shut it down for the environment, and we've never had to shut it down for any reason, and that's money in our pocket. If you're interested in shortcutting all this and even more, then just come check us out at our booth, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Also, right now, after this talk, my team's going to be out there at the shipping container, so feel free to just go straight there, and you can get a tour of our shipping container. It's got all live computers, live components. This is an actual running machine that we unplugged and brought here today, and we'd be happy to showcase it for all of you. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen in.